When most people hear the term internal auditor, they picture a strict watchdog, an isolated professional inspecting past actions and diagnosing faults. That perception is grounded in the traditional audit function, known as assurance. This is the objective process of evaluating an organization to ensure that its governance, risk management, and internal controls are actually working the way they are supposed to. Traditional assurance creates a frustrating loop. An auditor issues a recommendation, but the actual fix is bypassed. The issue returns next year as a repeat finding. This happens when theoretical fixes ignore operational reality, causing proposed solutions to pile up unimplemented. A process that stops at diagnosing the disease without ensuring the patient actually takes the medicine is incomplete. Finding the error is only half the job. The root cause of this implementation gap usually comes down to practical execution. The auditees might agree to a finding, but they lack the operational know-how to build the fix into their daily workflows. To fill this vacuum, auditors must step up and activate a second, frequently underused professional identity, the consultative advisor. In this mode, the auditor steps out of the evaluation seat and actively facilitates alternative solutions alongside management. Without this consultative element, audit reports simply gather dust. Active facilitation serves as the required bridge between an abstract finding and real-world corrective action. The Institute of Internal Auditors defines this consultative role as providing advice, facilitation, and recommendations to help management improve business processes and manage risk. In practice, this means an auditor might give direct input on drafting new standard operating procedures, map out the potential risks in a brand new department, or sit in as a technical advisor while the company overhauls its digital infrastructure. This split-screen diagram illustrates the role's duality and the hard boundary protecting it. The consultative function must never erode independence. While an auditor hands over blueprints and explains controls, management holds the responsibility to make operational decisions and turn the gears. Facilitating the solution ensures management retains ownership while gaining a clear path to resolution. We can see the framework for balancing these two identities safely in this blueprint, representing the Global Internal Audit Standards 2024. The standards dictate that consultation cannot be handed out as an informal favor. It must be explicitly written into the organization's internal audit charter, complete with a defined scope, and directly aligned with the board's strategic goals. Teams need a highly disciplined methodology. They have to codify exactly which types of findings trigger a consultative approach, how to facilitate those discussions, and how to document the advice so the boundaries of independence remain intact. Advising effectively requires expanding the auditor's toolkit to include business acumen, problem-solving techniques, and advanced facilitation skills alongside traditional compliance knowledge. By locking in the strategy and the methodology, an organization takes consultation from a risky, ad hoc experiment and turns it into a protected, highly effective institutional capability. Execution starts with how we communicate. Auditors must open a dialogue with management at the very beginning of an assignment. By discussing the core problems, operational hurdles, and realistic outcomes early on, the final recommendations are built on shared understanding rather than surprise. Watch this process in practice. The auditor takes a massive audit finding and deconstructs it into a realistic, phased action plan. This translation gives the auditee complete clarity on the steps required to seamlessly integrate the fix into daily operations. Early dialogue and collaborative planning directly eliminate the how-to confusion that causes so many corrective action plans to fail. The consultative commitment continues long after the plan is drafted. Auditors track the implementation, and if progress stalls, they step back in to identify the bottlenecks and help map out practical workarounds. At the same time, the internal audit function has an obligation to rigorously evaluate its own performance. They must measure whether their consultative interventions actually accelerated repairs and reduced the volume of repeating errors. Consistent tracking and self-evaluation prove to the business that the audit team is invested in driving actual operational resilience, rather than just dropping a list of problems on a desk and walking away. When an organization fully integrates this consultative power, the operational reality shifts, the implementation gap closes, action plans actually go into effect, and those frustrating, recurring audit findings drop off the radar. The dynamic between the departments changes completely. Auditors and management no longer sit across the table as adversaries defending their turf. They stand side by side, looking out at the same horizon. The auditor sheds the perception of the feared corporate police officer, emerging instead as a highly valued catalyst for organizational growth. The 2024 standards prioritize the successful facilitation of operational solutions, where a job well done results in a more resilient organization that still respects the line of objectivity.